I think you said something that's really important. When we talk about trying to get, effective messaging through, whether it's about climate change, environmental health, or a wide range of issues, when you're trying to penetrate a certain community, you really do have to know the community. And when you invest in building those relationships, then people, quite honestly, are more likely to hear you and to hear the messages that you're bringing. I also think it's important that we, look at who the community leaders and messengers are. For some segments of our community, it'll be the Black church. And so getting faith leaders more engaged in these issues is really important. And there are groups and organizations out there who are doing some of that work and are specifically working with faith communities. And we're seeing, I think, some positive things happen there. And we're seeing some action, that faith communities are taking to, make their congregations more aware, but they're also getting involved in, making a difference, whether it's working on energy efficiency or, resilience hubs, et cetera. That work is happening.
But the essence is really understanding the why and trying to bridge and have this more of a two-way communication between the communities, the residents, community leaders as well, using them as brand ambassadors or partnering with them either as brand ambassadors to seeing how they can further the messaging.
When I think about, climate change and environmental health related issues, a lot of times people, just don't understand that there is huge scientific consensus, like over 90% of climate scientists agree that climate change is real, that it's happening now, and that it's happening in part as a result of human activities. A lot of times there is misinformation that is tied to things that are true, and so that gets to be tricky. The actions that we are taking absolutely are negatively impacting the earth, and the earth, which is here to support us, is sort of pushing back a little bit. And, as a result, our own activities are in part are tied to the challenges that we're experiencing. So the question around personal responsibility, and I think we should have personal responsibility with respect to trying to lessen the impacts of climate change. There should be personal responsibility. There are things that we can do in terms of our consumption patterns, even our consumption of meat for those who do eat meat. If we think about, using public transportation where it exists, or, trying to, bring our trips together so that we're not taking a lot of solo trips, to all of the different places that we might need to, travel around the towns and cities that we live in, even, how much water we use. These are all things that are, relating to our use of natural resources that we engage in. Are we supporting, companies who are doing work that is just putting more pollution into our atmosphere? Are we supporting those companies that don't care about the fossil fuels that they're consuming? Or are we supporting those brands that are really thinking about the environment and keeping it in mind? And if we better supported those entities, maybe we could also kind of bring some of the costs down for some of those products and things like that.